Hi, my name is Hannah. I am a health education and behavior student at the University of Florida. Today I'm presenting a evidence-based health communication strategy that is focused on addressing substance abuse among veterans and service members within the U.S. military. So these are our learning objectives, and they'll essentially guide our discussion, ensuring that we cover both the problem and the communication theory that informs meaningful intervention for this specific health issue. So veterans often face complex mental health and physical health issues that elevate their risk for substance misuse. Research shows that combat exposure, PTSD, and opioid access contribute to higher rates of substance abuse compared to civilians. Addressing this issue within this population is both a public health and equity priority because they are more likely to partake in substance abuse as a coping mechanism, which leads to more and more veterans struggling with mental health or it impacting their relationships, and it could potentially increase the likelihood of homelessness. So there are multiple peer-reviewed studies that confirm this issue. Veterans with combat exposure or experience have higher substance abuse disorder rates. PTSD strongly increases alcohol misuse. It also increases the amount of things like cigarettes that are used. It also affects opioid misuse, and it remains a serious concern, especially among veterans experiencing chronic pain. So for this, I chose the health belief model, and it was chosen because it explains how beliefs shape health behaviors. Since substance abuse behavior involves individual perception of risk, treatment benefits, and barriers, the health belief models helps design communication that is both relevant and persuasive. So getting into the constructs, we're starting with perceived susceptibility, and it focuses on whether someone really believes that they're personally at risk. Many veterans mistakenly believe that they're less risk at using for substance misuse, and using veteran voices in a testimonial can help make this risk relatable and real when we're trying to communicate that there can be help to be had for this specific issue. And perceived severity conveys how serious an individual believes the effects of substance abuse to be. So we can highlight this by focusing on real consequences, and we can sort of explain that with infographics or posters, and we can really drive home the seriousness of these outcomes and make it more concrete to them. Okay, and perceived benefits are about believing that change leads to meaningful positive results, right? So sharing success stories and clear benefits, it's going to increase the confidence in treatment and in seeking help. It might also make it possible to spread whatever program we're trying to put out through word of mouth within the community, right? So perceived barriers often prevent veterans from seeking help. When we address the stigma around getting help or getting support for things like substance abuse, we can directly provide clear information about available support within the area, and we can sort of reduce those psychological and practical obstacles that way. Okay, and so self-efficacy, right? It refers to the confidence in one's ability to do anything. And for this specific issue, self-efficacy is critical. Veterans need to feel empowered to take action and to take responsibility and accountability for these actions that they have done. Right, so messages that break recovery into achievable steps, small steps, right, can increase confidence and motivation and make it seem like recovery and rehabilitation is achievable and possible. Cues to action act like reminders that trigger people to think about change. Outreach campaigns and reminders help keep treatment and support at top of mind. So getting those notifications consistently, it's always going to remind them that, hey, somebody's there, especially if it's like a support group. Just having that accountability buddy or just having someone check in on them can really help keep them at their best and keep them from slipping back into using uh, their chosen substance. Okay, so I made this health poster, and this image relates to the construct of perceived barriers. And the perceived barriers aspect of it represent the psychological and practical obstacles that prevent someone from taking action, for getting help or support. For many veterans, stigma, fear of appearing weak, and concerns about confidentiality so that it's not getting out that they need it, it often discourages treatment seeking for substance abuse. So my poster intentionally focuses on those barriers, and I'm using um, specific phrases like seeking help makes you stronger, not weak. And wording like that can really like challenge stigma and make things seem more practical rather than what they are. Um, and the poster reduces a lot of practical concerns by highlighting, privacy, confidentiality, and 24/7 support availability, which is, again, like a complete opposite of a perceived barrier. Okay, and this image focuses on the construct of perceived severity. And severity, again, focuses on how serious an individual would believe this health issue is and how it would affect them. So this infographic that I made, it highlights multiple dimensions, of severity by it explains things like mental health impacts, focuses on how it could damage personal relationships. It explains addiction and health risks in very simple language and terms. Um, it also highlights legal and career consequences. And um, these elements can really work together to show that substance misuse can lead to a significant or substantial amount of harm rather than short-term, discomfort. So by organizing and compiling these risks and consequences, this message can sort of help veterans understand the seriousness of the issue, and increasing the perceived severity is super important because focusing on how bad it is for you rather than, brushing it off and being like, oh, it's not that bad. You're just drinking to get through the day and brushing it off, which is very common in, this community. It's more likely to protect the individual from participating in these behaviors rather than encouraging it. So for this specific issue, choosing the right media channels is very important. So I picked areas or channels where veterans already are. So I chose online groups or platforms. For example, this would be posted on a veteran influencers page or put in the bulletin board of a VA hospital lobby, or just printed out, and that way they can be seen and handed out. And the more eyes we get on this specific issue and um, focusing on how it could impact them, it really is better. So, in summary, veterans experience a unique substance abuse risk that require communication strategies that are sort of catered towards them and by theory. And when we use those supportive channels by placing these messages in areas they more likely are, the more likely we are able to see some sort of turnout, or at least an increase of people reaching out and getting the help they need. So these are some additional resources on the issues where you can look for specific information. So of course the Department of Veteran Affairs is going to have information on what you can do or where you can go to get help, especially if you have substance abuse. Some of the information I had provided on my poster that I created was taken from the VA website. SAMHSA.gov is also a good one. They have a lot of services that veterans can use to get the help they need. There is the crisis line, always available. And the Recovery Village and veteranaddiction.org. You can find rehabilitation facilities through TRICARE or through whatever insurance that they do have after they're out, and they can get you reduced charge recovery treatments this way as well. And this slide is just my contact info. Feel free to contact me at my email if you have any questions. And these are just the references I used for this project. Okay, thank you so much for watching.